try to give multiple perspectives on menopause. And my role here is as a health and wellness coach, which means I try to maintain the health and wellness through good nutrition, exercise, shifts in mindset, and developing a holistic approach to managing your health, which leads to you managing the symptoms of menopause. Maria gets deeper into what those symptoms are and how they're affecting you from a gynecological perspective, and what can you do to change those. So it's a combination of our services that's coming together to give you a very holistic approach to managing what menopause is, right? So that being said, tonight we're going to go into a mindset approach to menopause, which is harnessing the power of mindset to alleviate menopausal symptoms, right? So what does that mean? It means, let's talk about what mindset is, right? So
Yes, sir. I think I know what you're doing.
now I'm going to mute everybody, or I can ask you to mute yourself if you're on here. So let's talk about what mindset is in the first place. Mindset basically is the lens through which we view and interact with the world. So a positive mindset can act as a buffer against stress, enhance your resilience, and improve overall well-being. But during menopause, when the physical and emotional fluctuations are common, a healthy mindset can help mitigate symptoms, promote mental clarity, and reduce feelings of overwhelm. So what we want to do here is explore not just, well, we're going to go a little bit into the science of mindset, but also provide some practical tips and strategies to help you harness the powers of your mindsets to alleviate menopausal symptoms. All right, so let's talk about another aspect that you may be thinking, but you know what? Why do I need to change my mindset to manage menopause? What is it about my mindset is making these symptoms seem worse? And what is that going to do to help me? So let's talk about some of the misbeliefs behind mindsets and what we understand as being mindsets. So give me a thumbs up if you are all hearing me clearly. Again, go into reactions and just give me a thumbs up. Yes, perfect. Thank you for that. All right. So anybody ever thought about what misbeliefs might be happening that make you think, oh, mindset won't change anything? So let's talk a little bit about what those are. One of the first ones is mindset can't change physical symptoms. And I can tell you, Maria is a really good nurse. Maria is a really good example of how mindset can actually affect physical symptoms. And I'll give you a little bit of her story about how this works. Maria, as she told us in the past, she had really bad anemia, which was causing her to faint at work, getting fainting spells at home. And, this was, for her, it was very embarrassing. And Maria, I hope you don't mind me sharing this, but it wasn't a fun place to be. And I've encountered people who fainted away, and they all say, it's no fun feeling like that you can't help yourself, right? And Maria was going through that stage. When we worked together last year to help her, really adjust her nutrition and her exercise and so on, Maria went from having fainting spells to having none at all, right? And now is thriving through. And that came because of a shift in her mindset. And her mindset came, yes, she adjusted her nutrition, which meant that she had to take less supplements, but that mindset change was very important for her to keep driving through and achieve that goal of overcoming those physical symptoms. So yeah, Mindset alone can help you, it may not help you eliminate physical symptoms, but it can significantly influence how often you perceive and cope with these symptoms. And I've heard this many times before. I had one lady explain to me that she was able to do surgery using meditation and hypnosis on herself. And she didn't have to take any kind of pain medication or anything. So there's amazing stories of mindsets. One of my colleagues, a surgeon in Mount Hope, told me a story about her grandfather who was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And she says he was diagnosed in his 60s and refused to do surgery. And she says he was diagnosed. And if you know anything about pancreatic cancer has a really short lifespan. Most people don't survive past 2 years once diagnosed, but unless it's caught very early. Sorry about that. I realized my phone's volume was still on. But but she said he was diagnosed stage 4, which means that he probably had a 6 months to 1 year survival rate. And he said that he didn't want any surgery, he didn't want any chemo, he didn't want anything. This was when when she was living in India. And she says he decided to change his mindset. And through a shift in his mindset, he lived until he was almost 90 years old with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. When they checked him out later and a few years later, they realized the cancer had completely regressed. So he really went through a mindset change. Of course, he did other things in his life and improve his nutrition and exercise, but that regular meditation and working on his positive mindset really helped him achieve a reduction in his cancer cells. So this is a really powerful tool. So first thing is, mindsets can't change physical symptoms. Not true. It can have a great impact on your physical symptoms. And you go, okay, so what's another best belief you might have? It's just positive thinking. It won't help. But that's not true. Positive thinking makes you bounce off negative behavior. So the more positive you are in your mindset, you realize negative things stop affecting you and they stop appearing to you. One of the good examples of this is consider the alcoholic. When they stop drinking, most of their friends disappear. Why? Because those friends don't want to change. That positive change that person has made, their friends don't want to do it, so they disappear. So the negativity goes away. Now, as mindset practices take too much time. Not true again. I do a mindset practice, which is three deep breaths just to create a positive outlook. 3 deep breaths. First breath slows down your heart rate. Third breath slows down your brain. Positive mindset created. So again, it does not take much time to do a positive mindset. It's only for younger women. Again, not true. I've known many entrepreneurs, even the top billionaires in the world, they're always working on a positive mindset. No matter how old they are, they're always working on it. So those are some of the negative things that might come out, the misbeliefs that about mindset that might happen, right? So now let's get into a little bit about the menopausal symptoms. And when we do these sessions, we always want to share a little bit about menopause. Why? Because like mindset, menopause, if you understand the symptoms and you understand what you're going through, helps you to then, because of that understanding, lead to a better approach to what these symptoms are. So some of the symptoms that occur that mindset can truly help with is fatigue. Fatigue during menopause. So how many people here during menopause feels fatigue? Thumbs up if you do. Or even if you know somebody who's going through menopause and they go through fatigue. Thumbs up. Yeah. And fatigue it's an overwhelming sense of exhaustion, right? That can affect your daily life. Maria, yes, you raised your hand because you had a question, or you just agreeing with my fatigue comment?
I was agreeing with your fatigue comment.
Lovely. All right. So I'm gonna lower your hand. So, and it occurs because of hormonal changes, declines in estrogen and progesterone, the two hormones that are what make up the productive part of a woman's reproductive years. They can disrupt sleep patterns. They can lead to poor quality sleep, daytime fatigue. And then there's a physical and emotional stress of adapting to the changes that you're going through, which depletes your energy. Another one is brain fog. And I'll give you an idea of what brain fog is. Brain fog is often misunderstood as an often misunderstood symptom of menopause. This is a range of things. There's cognitive difficulties, and always just making simple decisions seem to be a super challenge. You have memory lapses. I mean, people go through here. Thumbs up if you go through a memory lapse every once in a while, right? You have difficulty concentrating. You have things like a general sense of mental cloudiness. You just don't seem to have that clear thought pattern, right? And like fatigue, it is largely influenced again by the hormonal changes. And this can be very distressing, especially if you're in a high mental capacity job where like you need to be constantly focused. You have projects coming up. You have something that your boss is expecting on your desk, or maybe you're the boss and you're expecting to do these things. And here you are unable to fight through these. And we had an example of this. Me and Maria were chatting with someone online a few months ago, and she was telling us she knew when her menopause started because on that day she had to call into work and ask, and she's a lawyer, and ask one of her fellow lawyers to take over a case brief from her, and something that she was absolutely caught up and wanted to do herself. She said she couldn't even focus enough. She had so much brain fog that she could barely, just a call to her colleague was a challenge. And she said that's the day she knew her menopause started. Of course, we mentioned overwhelm before. The overwhelm of the brain fog and the fatigue leads to that sense of mood swings and anxiety and depression. So we could see how the menopausal symptoms and these menopausal symptoms can affect your daily routines, right? So then let's talk a little bit let's dive a little bit into the science of what is mindset, right? So mindset can be defined as two things. You can have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. Now, this was defined by the psychologist Carol Dweck, or it might be Dweck, D-W-E-C-K. And this comes from influence of our experiences. A fixed mindset is the belief that our abilities and characteristics are static and unchangeable. Entirely untrue. You can change your beliefs and you can change your characteristics throughout your life. In fact, if you look back in your life, you realize that you've changed quite a bit from when you were a young person to when you're in your 30s and 40s to what you would be like in your 50s and 60s. Look at your parents. How much have they changed throughout your life, right? But so we want to adopt then the growth mindset. And this is important in order to develop that positive outlook on menopause. And that growth mindset means you're trying to learn more, not just more about menopause, but all the things that will help you to achieve the growth you want. And it comes with its challenges, right? But growth, here's the one thing about shifting to the growth mindset. And I teach this all the time. If you improve by 1% every day, and you do this for 100 days, do you think that you will be improved to 100%? Now, I could say most people in this room will say yes. Who thinks that they'll improve by 100% in 100 days if you improve 1% every day? Thumbs up if you do. Now, here is something surprising. You actually improved by 1.7 billion, not 100%. In fact, in 30 days, you improved by 500,000 times where you were at that first day. Now you go, how is that even possible? Here's how it works. If you ever heard of the Fibonacci sequence, it's a sequence that exists in nature that as things grow, they become stronger. So this is the same thing that happens when you improve by 1%. 1% first day is 1% on the second day. And then the 1% add up to make you 2% on the third day. But on the fourth day, you've improved by now 5%. And you keep increasing like that until the 30th day, you're 500,000 times better. So you see, you improve exponentially by just growing 1% every day, because you're not adding to the 1%, you're adding to the extra growth that happens every day and is constantly going on. Now, a little bit about science. Why is the growth mindset possible? Here's what happens. It's something called neuroplasticity. Now, this refers to the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. Now, a good example is a stroke patients. People who have stroke on, like, say, one side of their brain, what they have found is over time, the body transfers some of that ability to the other side of their brain, and they're able to start doing some things that they were doing before, but it might not be 100%, but they do improve, right? So that's what neuroplasticity does. Excuse me 1 second, everyone. All right, sorry about that. That's my daughter asking me for something. So neuroplasticity means that you can rearrange the neural networks in your brain. And you can do this both in a positive way and a negative way. If you're massively negative, you continue to become more and more negative because of neuroplasticity by continue to doing that negative thought pattern. But if you switch it to positive thinking, learning new skills, practicing mindfulness, you then realize that your brain starts to go in a more positive direction. So understanding neuroplasticity a little bit helps you to recognize why a mindset change is necessary, right? So before we get into any further details, anybody have any questions so far about why mindset is important and neuroplasticity or anything like that? No? All right. If everybody's doing great, let's dive into some practical strategies to cultivate a positive mindset. Now, first one is mindfulness. So let's keep this simple, right? Let's talk about one thing this evening that will help you to start to develop that positive mindset that leads to a change in the overall perception of your symptoms and in your daily life. And that first thing is breathing, right? So we're going to go into, so anybody goes to church here? Hands up, thumbs up if you do. Yes, nobody responds to going to church? Awesome. So church is a form of meditation, right? So meditation, we don't want to consider it, it's more a practicing of mindfulness, right? And mindfulness involves paying attention to the present moment without judgment. And that's what meditation does. It helps you to pay attention to that present moment without judgment. So when you're in church, you're in that present moment with the preacher who um who is really giving you this positive messaging, and you have a positive outlook and you're not judging it anymore. You're just listening and taking in this experience. So it's about paying attention and staying this. What does this do? It helps to reduce stress, improve concentration, and enhance emotional regulation. Now, I'm sure many of you here do prayers in the morning or in the evening if you're going to bed, and it helps to calm you in those moments. So what we want to dive into is meditation itself, right? And this meditation is not a woohoo science. You're doing it when you go to church. You're doing it when you're sitting under a tree. When you take a moment, take a breath, that is a form of meditation. It doesn't have to be overwhelming, or you don't have to do 2 minutes and an hour of meditation. Just give your brain time to do it. Now, here's the thing. I want you to be forgiving to yourself while doing this form of meditation. No, reason is that sometimes it takes you a little while to clear your brain. Sometimes your brain gets all scattered. I know, because I've been trying to meditate. I've been meditating. I haven't said about trying. I've been improving my meditation practice for the last 4 years, and I'm officially up to 20 seconds. So pat myself on the back. I think I'm doing an awesome job. When I started off, I could barely make it past 3 seconds. And you're thinking, oh my God, just 20 seconds? And no, that's a really massive growth for me, because I went from being unable to get my brain to stop going in every direction to finally settling for 20 seconds. And it's slowly improving every day. If I'm improving 21%, 22%, 22 seconds, 23 seconds, I am doing better every single time. And that's good. And that's 20 seconds more than I had in the past. Right? So allow yourself, your brain, a chance to get into the practice. Like every other exercise, it takes time to train your brain to settle into that situation. So this will help you to get over the overwhelm of the brain fog and of the anxiety and depression, right? It'll help you to clear that space. So let's do a simple breathing exercise that I've used over and over, and it's been very effective in trying to clear my mind, clear the brain fog, especially when I'm in a stressful situation and I need to think clearly. And it happens that we get my brain fog, I get brain fog all the time. Last week alone, I was in a deep brain fog all week. And what I did for that was I took a break. I stepped back because it was too deep. The breathing exercises, but this took years for me to become very mindful of what I needed to do to clear my mind so I can come back and be more present in my moments. So let's start with a little exercise tonight on meditation, right? Before getting into any deeper and deeper things, I would like to give you just a small step forward. This one is simple breathing. So here's what we'll do. I hope you're all seated in a nice, comfortable position. You're in a nice, clear space. There's not a bunch of noise behind you. And even if there is, don't worry, we'll get through that. All right. And I want you to sit down and be clear your mind first off. So I want you to sit down and close your eyes or leave it open and take a deep breath. But when you take this deep breath, I want you to breathe in through your nose and out your nose. And if you have a clogged up nose, use your mouth. And I want you to concentrate on the temperature of that breath going in and out your body. So starting in on the count of three, three being the start, right? Let's go. Close your eyes and go 1, 2, 3, and a deep breath. Now, let's go a little deeper. All right, let's take a deep breath. Let's go a little deeper, and we're going to do a few more breaths in this time. So I want you using the same technique. I want you to start, close your eyes again, or if you're not comfortable doing that, leave your eyes open. Put your hand over your heart. And over the next 10 breaths, I want you to take a deep breath in and out, concentrating on the temperature. But while taking that deep breath, I want you to think of the most peaceful place you know, the place that gives you such joy, whether it's going to the beach, sitting by a river, sitting on a grassy spot, sitting under a tree, one peaceful place. But while in that state, I want you to picture it. I want you to smell it. I want you to taste the feeling of it. I want you to feel the breeze on your skin if you are sitting on the beach. And I want you to hear the waves. I want you to hear the rustle of wind through the tree leaves, right? So starting on tree again, I want you to close your eyes, put your hand over your heart, take a deep breath, and put yourself in that position for the next 10 breaths. 1, 2, 3, and start. Now, come back to me. So does anybody want to share what sensation they felt when they did that? You don't have to come on camera, just unmute yourself and just share your sensation.
I felt peace.
Peace, yes.
Calm.
Thank you.
Calm, spirited, calm.
Calm, very good.
I felt a sense of just dropping everything and just focusing on the environment. That's what I felt.
Very good. Anybody else? Clarissa, Marilyn, Makisha?
I felt calmed.
Excellent. Did it feel like your symptoms weren't so overwhelming anymore? Weren't so like all your day just fell away, everything seemed to this at the center in this moment, and you're able to take and you said, as you said, taking that calming moment in your brain. No, what I'd like you to do is a simple practice, is practicing this as often as you can during the day. As I said, this is something that really you have to train your brain into doing. And you realize if you practice it often, suddenly when you get into stressful situations, your body and your brain and your mind suddenly take a deep breath on its own, and then you get calm. And if you're practicing it often, you realize that in every situation you're taking a deep breath. And people start to comment, they go, why are you always taking these deep breaths? And the simple response is, hey, I just wanted to listen to what you were saying, and I needed to have a calm mental space, right? So that's what taking that meditative breath does for you, right? Now, there's lots of other techniques you can use to develop a positive mental, positive mindset. Some of those, I'm going to list a few of them here, is positive affirmations. You know, how do you perceive yourself? And do you say, I am, and you name yourself something? So I say things like, I am health, I am love, I am hope, right? Those are things that are positive affirmations. There's something called cognitive behavioral therapy, which addresses negative thought patterns and what is called ANTS, automatic negative thoughts. And we'll get a little deeper into that in another session. We're going to go through each of these over the period of time. And then there's gratitude. Do you write down your gratitude? You're grateful every day. Every day I write down something I'm grateful for, right? And I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my wife. But I also find something that happened in the week or the same day that I'm grateful that thing happens. So gratitude is an excellent practice. And then and of course, there's many other practices. Well, some of them I use in terms of mindsets. So we get into some other things that helps to develop a positive mindset or shift your mindset to deal with the menopausal symptoms, right? So, and as we go through these YouTube sessions and these live sessions, we're going to go into it and go delve deeper, right? So one of the first ones I want to mention in this stage is things like physical activity and nutrition in developing that positive mindset. Now, why am I introducing it here? As you know, on I think it's the 8th of June. Yes, the 8th of June, we're launching our 49-day weight loss challenge. Where when you go through menopause, one of the big problems you encounter is putting on weight gain because of that dropping in the estrogen, your metabolism goes down, you're putting on extra weight, you're still eating those calories, and you're not adjusting as quickly as you'd like to. So how do we develop a positive mindset? So in our 49-day challenge, we're going to go through what are the different things you need to implement, and what are the things are the habits you need to shift. Like, so how do you identify the habits and then start shifting them gradually so they become more healthy and positive habits that lead to you avoiding the weight gain and stopping the weight gain and then going into a state of weight loss. Again, Nurse Maria went through this with me and she had an awesome job of losing 43 pounds. In fact, she just started back working with me at my phase 2 of my program, where we're going to try to challenge her to get to her healthiest weight. So, and on 8th of June, we'll be starting this. We'll post the link again today at the end of the session so people can know where to find us, right? Another method of a physical way of improving your mindset is good sleep hygiene. And we'll do a special session on sleep hygiene and how that can help to reduce the symptoms. As you know, insomnia and poor night's sleep, tossing and turning, hot flashes leading to you not being able to get a good night's sleep, right? All of those things will lead to you developing brain fog, to having the mental fatigue, and dealing with all those things. And that's why we're going to go through a session on just managing sleep and how to do that in an effective manner while going through menopause, right? So at this point, does anybody have any questions?
Hi, Dr. Khan. Night.
Good night.
This is Miss Atwell, Elizabeth Atwell.
Yes, Ms. Atwell.
Right. I have one question. I would like to find out if the mental shifting, the method of breathing, the weight loss, the insomnia, and all the other features that you highlight, if this would affect all women who are going through menopause, or if it is just a couple people, it will affect. And the next question is, if it doesn't affect everyone, should everyone still take part in doing all the exercises?
All right. So the first part of the question is, does it affect every woman? The answer is no. So what we have learned and what is out there, well, what I've learned, Maria knew this beforehand, because menopause, I wasn't that well versed in menopause when I started this journey with Maria. But what we have learned, or what I've learned, is that menopause is really a spectrum, right? So it's a spectrum of symptoms that that affects each woman differently. So each woman's journey can be very unique in managing menopause, right? So some women say they had no symptoms throughout their menopause change. They just knew they went from having their reproductive, having their periods, and then suddenly it's gone. But then some women, it was so overwhelming that they could barely leave their house, right? So that's the first thing. To answer the second part of your question, should you practice these things? Yes. And here's why. Not because you had no symptoms means you're not putting yourself at a potential health risk. As you know, as we get older, your bones are getting thinner because of the estrogen and progesterone loss. You will also see a reduction in bone density can lead to fractures. Your metabolism slows down. So even though you had no symptoms, the metabolism still slows down, which means you might still put on weight, and it might not happen during menopause, or maybe you have some good practices now, and you might put on it might go up very gradually, but then you realize that I'm losing control. Then you have things like diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, that extra cholesterol or the extra sugars are in your diet. It's not the cholesterol, but the extra sugar, that extra carbohydrates that's floating around is causing that inflammatory response that's going to lead to a heart attack and potential for developing hypertension and hyperlipidemia. So all those things are still happening. They worsen after menopause because of the loss of that protection that estrogen and progesterone was offering, right? Now, yes, you can do some supplements to replace it a little bit, but it's not going to be as much as it was when it started. So so when you had those hormones on board. So yes, implementing these things is very important in maintaining a healthy lifestyle going into the older years, the retirement, the empty nester years. So yes, I would always recommend doing these things and putting in place. So one of the things that is happening when we deal with nutrition and exercise is you don't know which habits you're doing that might be affecting you negatively. And that's what the 49-day challenge is about, is identifying those nutritional habits and doing a mindset shift and a body shift that allows you to replace those habits with healthier habits that can serve you better in the long term. Right? So yes, hopefully I answered your question there well. Any other questions?
Yes, Dr. Khan. I just want you to kind of quickly touch on, for example, just a narrative I'm using here, the usage of, for example, potato and sugar. Just give me an example, because I know that potato in the long run could give you, it's high in cholesterol. If I'm saying it, but you can guide me according. And then
Yes.
we have an end result, breaking down and so on. But then again, if you take the direct sugar, so my question is, should I go easy or use less potato? No, let's say sugar per se, like sugar, or just use foods with a little sugar and no potatoes. I don't know if I'm making much sense here,
Oh yeah,
but
yes. You're making great sense.
I'd like to find out. I think and some of us too, we still have a little question mark in if to eat potatoes and we will get what we're supposed to get called cholesterol from the potatoes, if that's enough, or if to just drink, let's say for instance, we're using teas, if not to drink it with sugars at all, or if just to put a little honey in it, to give it a little taste here and there, because I mean, we reach this stage in our life which is very sensitive. So we wouldn't want to do exercises and then use things like especially sugars. This is my point, Dr. Khan.
So
Thank you.
So a few things there. You mentioned quite a few what I consider to be challenges people face when trying to create a healthy meal or a healthy lifestyle and healthy nutrition and so on. You see a lot of confusion there. Is potatoes good? Is potatoes bad? Should I use honey or should I use sugar? The answer is complex. So why do I say that? So let me use me as an example. Everybody sees me there, they see me as, fairly skinny, I'm fairly fit. But at one point I had a nice little paunch on me. And I remember traveling with the sports teams in Scotland and going to buy a kilt, right? I was there with my wife at the time. I was out. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go buy a kilt. And I go into the shop and the guy goes, so what waist size are you? And I go, a 31 waist. And he looks at me and he goes, nah, you can't be a 31 waist, you're a 38. And I go, what? Now, I've never been above a 31 waist my entire life. In fact, I reached a 31 waist. I went from a 26 waist to a 31 waist over a period of 20 years. All right, that's what the size I was when I was in high school. And I was like, oh no, this guy's crazy. I've never been above a 31 waist. What did he see? It was like that little belly that was hanging over my belt was what he sees. So here's this guy with some skinny legs and a nice little paunch in front of him. So 4 years ago, I decided I was gonna make a shift, and I was severely burnt out from work. I was, eating unhealthy. I was drinking 8 to 12 Coca-Colas a day. Right. And if you saw me in the emergency department, I always had a Coke in my hand. Not even the small ones. I'm talking little 20-ounce ones. The ones that are the same size as this bottle. So I was walking around with that all day. Right. And I was at work and I had to drink Coke all day. I was drinking coffee and just lots of Coke. And all of that wasn't serving me. So I decided in my burnout, I'm gonna make a shift in my nutrition. I'm gonna make a shift in my exercise. I started working on shifting my mindset, and all of it made me realize how complex the world of nutrition is and how much misinformation there is out there. Now, not to say that all of it is misinformation, but there's a lot of confusion. And a good example is the egg. At one time the egg was, don't eat eggs, high in cholesterol. Then no, you could eat the egg, but don't eat the egg yolk. And then suddenly you could eat the whole egg again, right? And no, it's a great superfood now, right? And it went from one confusion to the next. And some people on to today still think only eat the egg white, right? And all of that leads to a lot of confusion. So should you eat potato or not eat potato? It's yes, don't eat potato, but yes, eat potato. Should I put sugar or honey in my tea? I would always say put honey because it's a lot more complex. It has a lot of antioxidants in it. But sugar, but the actual brown sugar isn't as bad as it is. Yes, it's a simple sugar, but you can put a little bit, and it's a limited amount you can put in. So how much sugar should you eat a day? And the number is 5 tablespoons you're allowed to eat a day. But that simple sugar is how much of it you're getting throughout the day in other foods. So you see how much confusion there is there. And it's not a straightforward answer for me where I don't want to tell you, don't eat this and don't eat that. What can I say is, join me in the 49-day challenge. And we will go through every aspect of this. And Maria went through this challenge with me already. She did it with me last year. And that's how she led to her 43 pounds of weight loss. Because by implementing the different things I do, to show you how to reduce the carbohydrates in your diet. And you do need carbohydrates in your diet, but you don't need the high amounts we eat today. Reduce the amount of carbohydrates and get a more stabilized approach to doing it in a way that you enjoy all your food, right? So I don't give you a list of foods you should and shouldn't eat. Because for instance, somebody tells me I need to eat lettuce every day to get healthy. I don't like lettuce. I don't like okra or karaili, right? I'm not going to eat those things. So if you tell me to eat those things to get healthy, I'm never going to eat them. So does that make sense to me? But if I tell you, you can choose which of those vegetables you want to use the best ones you like as often as possible. And I show you a systematic way to do that. Then you see the shift. So I don't want to come out and say, don't eat potatoes. They're bad for you. I want to say eat less potatoes, but how do you eat less potatoes? What's the right amount? Don't put sugar in your tea. it's bad for you. If you're not diabetic, it's not entirely bad for you, right? Don't do this, it's bad for you, because there's a lot of complexity there. And then you want to talk about the highly processed foods you have in your daily foods, and you will say, oh, but I don't eat any highly processed foods. I don't eat out. I don't go to any fast food restaurants. But right in the grocery stores every day, and right in your kitchens, there are a lot of highly processed foods in there. Like, for instance, cereals. Most cereals are not good for you, right? So which ones do you choose? And many people have cereals in their house, and it has a big heart symbol stamped in there for the American Heart Association, but that cereal really is a highly processed food and not that good for you. So you see how confusing this can get. And I'm not trying to confuse you. I try to make it as easy as possible. And Maria will attest to this. So come join me in the 49-day challenge. There's a lot here that I need to unpack with you and to help you not just understand it, but implement it and shift those nutritional values a little bit, so that you then start developing better routines or healthier routines, not even better routines, just healthier routines, to lead to a shift that if you invest, and it's like every investment, you invest a small amount in a positive direction to get big benefits in the future. And it's a compounding investment. The more you put in, is the more it gives you back. So when I started off my story, 4 years ago, I started this journey. Today, after going through 4 years of these changes of shifting my nutrition, shifting my exercise routine, shifting my mindset, I am now at a stage where I can literally eat anything I want and not put on weight and not worry about my health. Because for one thing, I don't eat a lot of things. Like, I won't eat any highly processed food, and I don't eat fast foods. Most of my meals I make myself. So 80% of the time, I don't have to worry. I don't even think about it. And that's what we're doing in the course. First, let's get into remove the confusion, give you good, clear advice that you can implement on a daily basis, and then lead that into how can you make your habits healthy enough that you stop thinking about what should I eat and what shouldn't I eat. You just do it naturally. All right, so I really don't want to go, don't eat this and don't eat that. No, I want to say, let's do it in a more structured and more systematic approach that's easy to implement and gives you the results that you want. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Right, so I posted a link for the course itself. If you click on it, you'll submit your email address, and then you'll get everything emailed to you. If you're having any issues with that, if anybody here hasn't joined our White Rose Community Facebook group, I'm gonna post a link here for you. Give me 1 second, a little daddy air here. Maria, do you want to add anything else at this point in time?
Yes, I would like to encourage us ladies. We're going through a phase in which we are transitioning, and certain things like our physique, that curvaceous physique we had while we were younger, it is still possible to get it and maintain it. And I want to encourage us to go on this journey, because I believe, especially now at this time in our life, our health is the best investment we can make, not just for ourselves, but for our families. You don't want to be a burden to anyone. Yes, your children love you, your husband love you, relatives love you, but you get sick, and especially for a long term, and you would see how people could get annoyed. Sometimes the simple thing, just handing you a cup of water or giving you some medication on a regular basis, it becomes a burden.
Oh,
So
yes. Oh, yes.
yes, and a lot of us can attest to that. So what we can do for ourselves is invest in our health. We make all kind of investments, financial investments, and other things we do. But our health is the best thing. Investment in your health is the best thing that you can do for yourself, especially at this phase in your life where you would, a lot of other health problems coming up, right? And you may be going through other health problems. Invest in your health, invest in this program and see, right, how different your body would feel. See how you could, enhance other things in your life. So that is my encouragement to us who's listening here. Any comments, Dr. Khan?
Sorry, I was muted all along. My bad.
Okay.
So everyone, ladies, and everyone here, I fully endorse Maria on this one. At investing in your health, especially as you get older, is probably your best investment you can do of anything else, not money, not family, everything else comes along. If your health is great, then you can do anything. Like, for instance, I use me as an example again. When the pandemic started, I would be home, and of course, my wife, my children are home, the boys in school, and my daughter would want to go riding in the yard, and we have this little go-kart, and she wanted me to pull it. At the time, she was 4 years old. She jumped in a go-kart, and I would try to pull it up and down our yard, and we have this long driveway. And after a few minutes of doing that, I was winded. I was sweating. I was winded. I was breathing hard. Recently, she started riding without her training wheels, and I had to push her up and down the yard, without her training wheels. And she was, and I realized after half an hour of running behind her up and down to get her into the training, that I wasn't winded. I was okay. I had a little bit of sweat in me, but I felt great. It felt like a great little workout, right? And I was like, 4 years ago, that didn't happen. And I really invested in my health to be able to do that. To the point that this Sunday, I did a 30-kilometer marathon where I do kite surfing. And we kite surfed from Los Iros in south to Icacos, 30 kilometers in 4.5 hours, right? And I honestly, 4 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to do that. But that investment in my health is what led to me being able to do something like that. And it was a great achievement on my part. And I'm happy I did it. So investing in your health pays in dividends, right? So I mean, and there's a lot of misbeliefs also. Like, for instance, do we need how much calories do we need to take in to stay healthy? And the belief is, as long as you stay within your calorie limits, it doesn't matter what you eat. That's not true. It does matter what you eat, and the type of calories is important, right? Another misbelief is only intense daily workouts lead to significant health benefits, right? Not true. Even just simple walking has profound health benefits. Other misbeliefs are things like carbs are bad for you. And as I mentioned earlier, carbs aren't bad for you. You need a certain amount of carbs, but the type of carbs is what's important. Fat-free is healthier. Again, not true. Fat is not the culprit. Fat has never been the culprit. What it is that the amount of meat you eat. You're supposed to only take in 10% meat every day. And being fat-free isn't helping. Fat-free can also cause your brain fog. So the brain fog you ladies are getting when you're going through menopause can come from decreased fats in your diet. And what are the healthy fats to put in place? Detox diets and cleanses are necessary. Again, not true. Detox is if you're eating healthy, you don't need to detox. In fact, your body does an awesome job of detoxing. But if you're putting a lot of chemicals that occur in highly processed foods in your body finds it hard to detox because it doesn't know how to manage these chemicals. So some of those are the misbeliefs. And I don't know if any of you thought of having those kind of misbeliefs or it's something you've thought of in the past, but those are some things that happens, right? Not having enough proteins is important. So you need more proteins to develop, to get bigger muscles. Not true. But you do need a certain amount of proteins if you need to maintain your muscle mass. And muscle mass is important because as what's called passive energy burn. If you leave on your car and it's idling, it's burning gas. Think of your muscles as that car engine that's idling. So if you have good, and you don't have to have big muscles like Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'm talking about the muscles you already have. But if they're good and they're functioning and they're being kept healthy with good exercise, when you're sitting on the couch watching TV or you're resting at night, your muscles are burning energy and it's burning it efficiently, which helps you to lose weight. So healthy eating is expensive. I can tell you, if you start eating healthy, you will save in Trinidad and Tobago between $1,200 to $1,500 a month in just because you eat healthy. I noticed I sat down and calculated with just a few of my patients recently, and they were surprised. Think of what you can do with an extra $1,500 in your pocketbook. What you can really buy and enjoy with your family with that extra $1,500. What bills will get paid off for doing that, right? Skipping meals helps you lose weight. Again, not true. Intermittent fasting is extremely valuable in improving your health, in detoxing. It's a great detox, and there's easy ways to implement intermittent fasting that makes it very valuable to you, right? So those are some of the things. I mean, I don't know if those are some of the misbeliefs that you may have had about getting to a healthier weight, but these are some of the things that have come up in the past about why is it necessary. So I'm gonna post the link again for those who joined us for the weight loss course. So here's a link for the WhatsApp chat group. Oh, I just posted the wrong thing. All right. And I ask you, come join us. And so this is a WhatsApp chat group. And it's not a WhatsApp chat group, it's an update. So you'll find out when events are happening in the community, you'll find out when these you'll get reminders about these sessions, like what we do on Tuesday nights, reminders about our hikes we do every Sunday. And that will give you an idea of what is going on in the community. And we do it in such a way that you're not being like this massive chat. We're developing other support groups for that. But there's a link for the WhatsApp chat group. The top link is a WhatsApp chat group, and the bottom link is the 49-day challenge starting on June 8th. Just sign up there and you'll get all the information emailed to you, and you can join us